Japanese maples are really popular in North Texas. They're popular in my yard. I have about 10 or 12 of them. This is the oldest, probably 15 years in our landscape. Love the fruit. Isn't that pretty? Joe Covington knows Japanese maples probably better than anybody. I asked him to show us around. When I think of Covington Nursery, I think of Japanese maples. Joe has always had the best selection that you'll find just about anywhere. I kind of clashed with the Japanese maples. You're dressed appropriately, Joe. Wow, how many varieties do you guys sell?
I think we have about somewhere between 15 and 18 varieties this year.
They are absolutely beautiful. Tell us in generic terms about Japanese maples. They are obviously from Japan. Here they need shade primarily?
They primarily need shade or filtered light. They need to be an understory tree beneath a large oak, or on the north side of the house where they get more subdued light. They can't take our hot summer heat.
Good organic matter, good moisture.
Absolutely. Moisture in the summertime heat.
All right, beautiful spring and summer color, and then the fall color, usually in November, is just spectacular, isn't it?
It's just blood red.
No wonder we love them. We're out in the sun now, but Joe says that these are going into the shade house very, very shortly. I bet there won't be many to move. The public's buying them right and left. You know what I'd like you to do is walk us through the nursery and show us some of them close up, and we can see the difference in the foliage. That'd be all right?
I'd be glad to.
Let's take a look. Joe, this is really pretty, and this is one of the popular varieties, isn't it?
It's one of the most popular varieties, Neil.
Crimson Queen?
Crimson Queen. It's a weeping variety. It's
really
one that gets about 6 to 8 feet tall and about 6 to 8 feet wide. It can fit in a tight spot in your landscape. Of course, it needs to be in the shade. It can also be in a container too. Do very well in a container.
It's beautiful in a pot. Look how tiny those leaflets are. Isn't that something?
That's deeply cut, just a very fine, lacy foliage.
Now, the standard Acer palmatum, which all these are not red maples, by the way. That's a different type of maple altogether. These are purple-leafed Japanese maples.
That's correct.
And the standard one is a green tree, 25, 30 feet high. All these have come from that. And these are grafted, aren't they?
All grafted varieties.
So that's Crimson Queen. Let's take a look at some more.
All right.
Hey, Joe, this is one that is the most popular of the green leaf varieties, I would say, wouldn't you?
Yes, it absolutely is. It's
Coral
one of my
bark.
favorite.
I think I know how it got its name. This is amazing, isn't it?
It is. It's beautiful.
Now, the winter color is even more intense. It's hard to
is.
believe, but
It
it just
is.
gets really red. And, of course, the leaves are gone in the winter.
It gives you a great color in your landscape at a time of year you don't have a lot of color in your landscape. I have 4 of them in my yard, and I love them.
People really like this tree. It's just beautiful. Has to have the shade, doesn't it?
It does.
Almost all of them do.
Many people pick the red variety instead of this green one, and I tell you, because of this color, this kind of light green color, it contrasts great with a lot of things in your landscape. It really gives you a great contrast and shows up more beautifully than you might think.
Coral bark, Japanese maple. Every nursery will know what you're talking about.
Very tough, very hardy.
Every time I come here, Joe, and have the intent of taking a Japanese maple home, I end up getting blood good. I want to try some of all of them. This is my wife's favorite of all. It's the most popular one, isn't it?
It is, and mine as well. I
Look
have
at
a couple of them in my landscape. They are beautiful.
Don't grow it for that reason, but they're just a nice little add-on.
Reliably crimson all throughout the summer, too.
Yeah, it's just beautiful, and the fall color of this is glorious.
Yes, and it is blood red in the fall.
It really is. Blood good Japanese maple. This is the
Beautiful
most popular
tree.
Joe, I feel like I'm in Japan in a forest of these Japanese maples. This is amazing.
There's no ugly varieties, that's for sure.
You know what? This one has more character than almost any other Japanese maple. It looks like a waterfall.
It does, and it is in fact called waterfall.
Really?
Absolutely.
Wow, I had no idea. It's a green leaf variety, and what's its mature height? A little bit taller than this, not much?
About 6 to 8 feet tall, and that's over a long period of time. Very cascading. It's a weeping variety and one that you can use in a pot as well as in the ground.
So you can plant these anytime during the year. Just make sure you don't let them dry and don't put them in the sun.
That's exactly right. Keep them well watered when it gets hot the first summer that they're planted. You can't let them get dry that first summer in particular until they get well rooted.
We can do it. Joe Covington at Covington Nursery. I'm going to shake it again. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good to see you. We're going to, speaking of Japanese maples, go to the Japanese garden at the Fort Worth Botanic Garden. Stay tuned.